Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Sunday Talk within the Nine-Sided Circle. I am one of your two hosts, Noor Kyle. Sorry, we just had someone pop in. That's exciting. And
I am her faithful sidekick, Mushtaq Ali.
yes, how lucky I am to have my faithful sidekick, Mushtaq Ali. So, thank you so much, all of you, for popping in, joining us live, and for those of you watching on the replay, welcome to you as well. Thank you so much for being here, all of you. And if you are watching on YouTube, if you could do us the huge favor to like this video if you enjoy it, leave a comment if you want to interact, ask questions, let us know what you thought of the video. And if you enjoy our work, subscribe to our channel. All of these things, as with any other channel, helps us keep rolling along, helps us keep putting our message out there to help people wake up to be human adults. All of these things, if you've watched our videos for a while, you know how committed we are to this work. So thank you for your support, whether that's through just continually watching our stuff, perhaps doing one-on-ones with us, sending donations, just staying in touch. Any and all of those things, we are so happy to be able to share with you. And you'll find links to all that stuff in the description below. You can join our Facebook group, our email list, which I'm always encouraging people to join, especially in these weird ass times. And just we appreciate you. Thank you. Have I missed anything, Mushtaq?
Probably, but I have missed it as well. So,
Okay. So fair enough. We had some really great conversations the last couple weeks. We hope you'll go back and check them out. But this evening, we are taking a turn towards the fourth way primarily. So we're going to be discussing what we like to call the great discovery, the great practice, the great aim, the hidden heart of Gurdjieff's teaching. That is our topic this evening. So, yes, we hope you'll find this conversation meaningful.
yes, and we are absolutely delighted to see you again. You know
Yes,
that.
yeah. I got a little distracted because we have not seen one of our friends who's joining us tonight in a
For
little while.
a
So
month of Sundays, as we used to say.
exciting. Yay.
And as it happens, what was it, day before yesterday, we were munching on kebabs and I was overindulging in harissa, and we thought of you.
All right. Now that we're done embarrassing you, we'll move on.
Nobody knows who we're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. So back to our topic, Mushtaq. Where should we
Okay.
begin?
So, um, Gurdjieff wrote a bunch of books. And it's interesting. His first book was called The Herald of the Coming Good or Herald of the Coming Good. And he wrote it and he put it out and then he took it off the market and refused to have anything to do with it again, even though it was an interesting book. And then his last book, the book that he was working on up until sometime before he died, it was called Life is Only Real Then When I Am. And he never published it. He never finished it, but it was the most interesting of all of his books for what it was. We were able to get hold of the manuscript copy after he passed away, and it got sent around to people and had some things to say. So today we are going to look at through the lens of a, a Sufi approach to this material.
Mhm.
We're going to look at the final teaching of Gurdjieff, if you will. And we're going to draw some from Ouspensky, and we're going to draw some from Madame de Salzmann, and we're going to draw most of it from Gurdjieff himself, paying the most attention to his last book and what he was saying in it before he got fed up with everybody and stopped writing. So we know for Ouspensky the great discovery was self-remembering, the shock of realizing that we do not remember ourselves, that there that we aren't present.
Yeah. To
Um,
put it in Ibn Arabi's language, we're heedless of
yes.
ourselves. Yeah.
And you'll notice that there are some connections between this and the last couple of talks we did on Ibn Arabi's work.
Gotta follow the thread of
Yeah.
inspiration where it leads, right?
Yeah. So, Ouspensky relates in Search of the Miraculous that Gurdjieff asked him, "Do you remember yourself?" And he realized with a shock, "No, I do not remember myself." Remembering yourself means you are aware of your own uh, conscious self as you're awake.
Yeah.
And uh, that was life shattering for him. And that was his great discovery that ordinary life is sleep. But in the midst of that, you can wake up, if only for a moment, through the practice that they called self-remembering. And for you to understand, try this. With your eyes opened or closed, doesn't matter. Notice your breath. And while you are noticing your breath, also notice your body. And while retaining both of these, noticing your breath and noticing your body, notice the sounds in the room. See if you can hold all of these together at the same time. Notice your breath, notice your body, notice your environment. And then don't go to sleep. Stay awake while you're doing this. It's the trickiest thing in the world because if I wanted to put you in trance, I would say, you can notice your breath and you can notice the feeling of your body as you sit there, the weight of your body against the chair, all of these things, and that'll put you in trance. But at the same time, if you notice your breath and be aware of your body and the experience of being in the environment you're in while staying awake, it gives you the opposite of trance. It is a truly weird and wondrous thing. And that's the beginning of what Gurdjieff called self-remembering. We call it murakabe. It's, for lack of a better term, it's a form of meditation. And it's a taking account meditation. So you're taking account of your breath, you're taking account of your body, you're taking account of your environment.
Yes. So that's the Arabic term for
Yeah.
taking account.
Yeah. And Gurdjieff said, you're dividing your attention, only you're not. The human brain does not divide its attention. When you try and do that, multitasking, right? You don't do two different tasks at once. You shift back and forth between the tasks and lose resolution on both of the tasks. Multitasking is an illusion. So you are not dividing your attention, you're expanding your attention. So instead of having this much attention, you have this much attention. Way more fun.
Yep. We've done a talk about attentional space before. So this comes into play. Imagine being able to include more of your surroundings and more of your sensory acuity in your perception.
Now, Madame de Salzmann, whereas uh, for Ouspensky it was the great discovery, for Madame de Salzmann it was the great practice. And for her, And we can glean this from her diaries and her notes and the things that were published after her death as well. Uh, and we have to remember that Madame de Salzmann took the responsibility for carrying on the teaching more than anyone else. I mean, there were other teachers in the Gurdjieff school, but she's the one who is most likely the one who was appointed to do it, if anybody was. Uh, and she had this realization that while self-remembering is the discovery, it cannot last unless it is rooted in something tangible. And that something is sensation of the body. Uh, Gurdjieff told his pupils in his Paris lectures, the key to everything, remain apart. Our aim is to have constantly a sensation of oneself, of one's individuality. Madame de Salzmann built her whole transmission around this. In her notebooks, which were published, the largest amount was published in The Reality of Being. She said, I need impressions of myself. If I need to live I need to live the wholeness of presence, to feel in my body I am. She called this the great practice. Sensation plus presence, sustained in the midst of life, not just in meditation, not just in exercises, but in the office, in the kitchen, in conversation, on the street.
Any questions so far? Because we're rolling along. Any questions so far? Okay.
Yeah, we barely scratched the surface.
Mm-hmm.
So, with let's do a little exercise. Close your eyes, and I want you to sense your feet, whether they're on the floor or not. Just put your attention there for a moment. And while your attention is there, also allow it to be on what you're sitting on what's beneath you. While you're feeling these things, follow your breath. Don't change your breath, just follow it. Follow it in and out. Stay awake. Now open your eyes. And without losing the sensation of your body and your breath, look around. See, hear, feel at the same time. Sense your body. So you are feeling the sensation of your body. You are following your breath. You are paying attention to your environment. And this is the beginning of Madame de Salzmann's great practice. And many of you will go, oh, we've done this before, haven't we? Yes, this is not new. So with Gurdjieff, you have the great aim. In his last book, he makes the aim of his entire teaching crystal clear. The title says everything. Life is only real then when I am. Not I think, not I feel, not I imagine, but when I am. And this is not the I am of the so-called I am movement, which is actually uh, pretty weird because it's a mistranslation of something out of Exodus. This is not declaring that you are or being one with the I am or any of that shit. This is actually being. So when you ask yourself, am I awake or asleep? And you check inside and you go, oh, I'm awake. That's your I am. That's all it is. It's just that being awake, knowing that you are you without all of the spiritual and psychological detritus that is surrounding you most of the time.
Detritus.
We love that word. So is this making sense so far? Do you see why we talk about the great discovery, the great practice, and the great aim?
Yeah, I will just make a comment. Based on previous talks, I've been paying more attention to being aware of what's going on in my body while I'm doing other things, in particular my regular practice. And I've been finding it very helpful.
Mm,
Sweet. I
great to
love it when
hear.
a plan comes together.
Yep. And Brian and Cherie know all about that too.
Yeah. Osama has something to say.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, Sometimes I feel a slight difference of quality when that state of awakeness is entered, or that presence. And sometimes it's completely receptive. Sometimes it's completely observant, where it's like, I'm here and there's all of this that's going on, and yet I'm here. Um, and sometimes within that presence, there's also a discovery almost happening at the same time. There's also this sensation right in the heart center that's just like bubbling up, almost like blooming. Um, and I find that that experience, um, the I am or that state of presence is really heightened. It's like I'm really f finding out who I am in that process of I am. Like it's a happening. It's not static. It's not just observing. It's like, oh, something is coming out and I'm experiencing it for the first time. I'm experiencing myself for the first time in that I am state. Um, and usually those states are experienced at a in an environment where it's like it's not necessarily, I mean, sometimes at like a cafe, but it's if it's like I'm really outside of my comfort zone, if I'm really putting myself out there, if I'm really like just going for that life. Um, yeah, so I guess I'm sharing this to see if there's different qualities of that experience, or if that experience of that presence of that I am is kind of like across the board. If what are the qualities that can come in into that experience or that presence?
That's a good question. And I think there are a lot of different qualities that can express themselves through that experience. And it is all the same experience because the experience is big, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. Big is a good word.
Yeah.
That's a good word. Yes, it's a big experience. I like that. I like that.
So, Gurdjieff, wait a second, we have another question there.
We
Ian,
do.
Yeah,
Right.
there was something that Osama said that reminded me of something I heard on a YouTube video, and I can't remember the name of the guy who said it, but he was talking about meditation and state. And the comment he made that really stuck with me was he said, we can't will ourselves to sleep. We can only put ourselves in a position where sleep can come to us. And he said that there's a similar, it's a similar case with meditation. And he wasn't specific about the kind of meditation or anything else. But I've been noticing and paying attention to this in my own practice and finding that when I'm doing it well, there is a state change that comes about akin to the kind of change you get with going to sleep, but into a much more aware state. But it's not something I can will. It's because I'm putting myself into a state of preparation that allows it to happen, that it does happen. Not all the time, I must admit, but often enough to be very pleasant.
Mm. And to be clear, you're talking about literal sleep, like rest, right?
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
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 yeah,
Thank you,
I
Ian.
don't know that he's right about that, but it's an interesting perspective. As Noor will tell you, I will myself to sleep all the time.
It drives me crazy because I don't have that. I have not been blessed with that as of yet, so we'll see about that. Yes, Sheree. Hi.
Hi. This morning, I was working with a client who asked for mentoring in doing stretch therapy that I use. And she's been working with clients. And when you're talking about sensation, what I really liked today was I slowed her down. She's always go, go, go. She's very task orientated. And so when you're doing your practice and you say, but what is that sensation supposed to feel like? What's it supposed to feel like? That was the question the whole time. And I had her arms up behind her back and I was just holding her and she goes, what are you doing? What are you doing? I said, I'm waiting for you to relax. And I could feel her vibrating. And I go, and then she went, and she just did this little tiny movement. I said, and there it is. And she went, I felt it. I felt it. So that's when I first started practicing, and there's the same with your own solo practice. It's like, what am I feeling? What am I feeling? When am I feeling? Am I feeling? You know, you're asking yourself all these questions. And it's that patience of just be there. And all of a sudden, it's there. And it's just such a lovely feeling. And if you're working with a person, I found with, say, I'm doing a small class face to face, and I get them to go back to back just with the breathing. And it just calms everybody down. And when you start feeling where they're breathing, whether it's at the top or at the bottom, and some of them get really good at it, and you can feel the quality of anxiety and uh, apprehension of touching a stranger. So we go back to back. That's much more helpful than going for hugging. So we go back to back and we just sit and just wait and just feeling that. And just when you start feeling that, you become a much better partner when we're doing exercises together because you can actually start sensing a person. And I found I was sensing me too. Like, was I vibrating a little bit too fast because that person wasn't relaxing? And as soon as I did it, they did it. And it was just like, okay. And that's a part of my practice of just being able to sense and what is that quality. And you don't know it until you just slow it down little bit by little bit. Just wait, because we're always so task driven that we're actually really not really feeling deeply, and it's really subtle. And once you get it, it's like you can feel your fingerprints all the time.
And it's interesting how, sometimes when you have that sense of contact with another body in a safe way, whatever that looks like, it gives that feedback of, you live in your own body all the time. So you might be a little bit numb or oblivious to what's happening there. But when you feel that sensory feedback, moving between two bodies, yours and someone else's, it kind of makes the invisible visible.
For sure, because you're disassociating with all the sensations in your body because you have to get through your day. You'd be too busy sensing, every single sensation. But when you are doing your sitting practice and your breathing practice, and you become more aware of where your knee is, and if one is higher than the other, whether you've got the to do a certain thing, because I always catch myself, I think, oh, all these different little things. I had gone to sleep and now I'm back, and you notice different things, but you can't notice it all at once. You just can't. So I did like the beginning of the talk practice, because, I can't hold those things together all at the same time. I have to admit, I'm doing them one to the other, one to the other. Yeah, that's the way it is at the moment. Not good, not bad.
Yep. Yep. And it takes, first of all, to prime it so that we can sense these things at all. There's that. And then there's the stamina of being able to build up a sense of continuity of sensing. That comes with time and practice too. Thanks, Shuri. All good stuff. All right. What's next?
What's next?
Next, where are we?
We are about to talk about Gurdjieff's triad for his great aim.
Mm.
And he basically, especially in his last book, he breaks this down into self-remembering, conscious labor, and intentional suffering. Self-remembering, we have discussed a little bit. Conscious labor is the method. Self-remembering is the discovery. Conscious labor is the method to work with attention to transform ordinary life into presence, to create the state of actual objective awareness. And intentional suffering is the one that nobody understands. You say intentional suffering, you think, oh, I'm going to sit here and allow myself to be in pain. No. What does the word suffer mean? Anybody?
Allow.
Yes, it means to allow. Intentional suffering is the process of allowing everything to be as it already is. I'm stealing this from Shanti, but he won't mind. Intentional suffering is this and nothing else. It is the act of not resisting the real. When you are suffering unconsciously, when you are not allowing things to be as they are, it creates a lot of friction in you. Think about something that happened that you didn't want to happen. You really didn't want it to happen. You resisted it happening even as it was happening. And it happened, and you're stuck with not wanting it to happen, and it happened in the past. And that sucks, right? Everybody can relate to this somewhere, somehow, some way.
Sucks.
Yes, it does suck. So the act of allowing what is going on to be without resisting the existence of it is essential to the work. This doesn't mean that you don't change what's going on, but it means that, like, we can take the political world right now. We can go, I don't like this. I hate that this is going on. I don't want it to happen. No, go away. And it just makes your life miserable. If you go, this is what is happening now. We work with that. And you don't get the same kind of craziness. Does that make any kind of sense at all?
Osama, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And also I remember like hearing that, right? Like the intentional or conscious allowance. And I think at some point I only understood it as kind of like an acceptance of reality of what's going on. Um, and also there is the the allowance of what needs to emerge from the inside out to also not resist that as well. So it's kind of like it's a two-way street, right? There's this acceptance of reality as it is, and then an acceptance of what is emerging or want to emerge and allowing for that to emerge also um, at the same time. So yeah, just want to share that.
Yeah. And this is essential. Anissa makes a note. It's not a passive beingness, it's an active one. And it is exactly that. And if you don't get this, the old Sufi analogy is this. You live in Andalusia. You decide to make the Hajj and go to Mecca. But for some reason, you are convinced that you actually live someplace completely different, like Istanbul. So you get a map and you start going on your map as if you were living in Istanbul instead of living in Andalusia, and you will never, never, ever get to Mecca because you are not allowing reality to be as it is. The best map in the world will not get you to your goal if you deny the reality of your own state.
Mm, true that. And that kind of goes every which way, doesn't it?
Yep. So I have a quote out of Gurdjieff's wartime meetings, which were during World War II when he was basically meeting with a few of his closest students in an attic somewhere so that he wouldn't get killed by the Nazis.
Do you want to leap into that, or do you want
I just have a
Ian?
quote.
Okay, okay, go for it.
And he said, without prepared suffering, there is nothing. This fire crystallizes, cooks, cements. Only with this fire can a real I be created. So the aim is not simply moments of presence, it's a crystallization of a permanent I, the birth of what he called higher bodies and the ability to live and die consciously.
Mm.
And Ian has a thought.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah, a couple of things actually.
Give us a couple of things.
Um, I've got oh yeah, yeah, the first one. I was just going to say that, I mean, I watch 3 hours of MSNBC, not all of it. I DVR, fast DVR through a lot of it. But it's interesting because Trump does at least three outrageous things every day, and they spark outrage. And yet I've noticed that it's become fairly easy for me to just not continue to be outraged. I get that, oh, not again, but then not be affected by it going further, which is very nice because I know that a lot of people sort of get that outrage and starts to become their focus. But the other thing I was wondering about, and actually that quote you just read sort of makes it particularly interesting because I was wondering if there was a better word in English than suffering.
Probably. The only reason I use that is because that's how it was translated from the Russian.
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah,
And I
yeah,
wish Khalil was here because he could probably give us a better meaning for the word. Where are you, Khalil? We need you. Because
yeah,
my
I'm
Russian is non-existent, unfortunately.
yeah, likewise. But um, one of the reasons that I'm thinking about that is because of that quote you were talking about. When in that quote, I'm not sure that it would be possible to substitute allow for suffering in the way that he uses the term in that quote.
Yeah, this is why we have to give explanations because otherwise, and trust me when I tell you that lots and lots of people have misunderstood this and went out and like hit their hands with hammers so that they would be in pain and call that conscious suffering.
I mean, even we tend to exchange the words intentional and conscious because
Yeah.
the source text does that in translation from time to time, as we've mentioned previously. So, yeah, we're. Can you repeat the quote again, please, or write it here? Asks Osama.
Oh, Osama.
But that's something for us to reflect on, Ian. Thank you. And maybe touch base with Khalil on it. Okay.
And you
Without
notice he uses the term, or his translator uses the term prepared suffering here.
it just keeps going, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Without prepared suffering, there is nothing. This fire crystallizes, cooks, cements. Only with this fire can a real I be created. I think we'll see parallels to what we've been talking about the last couple weeks, between Ibn Arabi's model of how the self becomes refined and the mirror becomes polished, and how even though, the model indicates a sense of like as below, or from earth to heaven, and Gurdjieff's model tends to talk a bit about uh kind of like becoming grounded, becoming more solid in oneself. They're different ways of talking about the same heavy duty process of refining this I-ness, this beingness. Anissa says, is it that we do the contrary of being comfortable or being in comfort for our senses? Would you be up for speaking about this, Anissa? Are you able to do that?
I'm gonna speak very like lightly because there's people sleeping. It's kind of late.
Okay. Yeah, I
I don't
just
know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can
yeah.
hear you perfectly.
Okay, perfect. I just meant for the like allowing suffering is to kind of like train your mind constantly to become more um like refined, more of a like a resilient rock towards the like the things that make us go into trance again.
Mm.
And um that will allow us to feel more the real, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And this is why we've missed you so much, because you always have these good ideas.
Yeah.
And you are dead on
Mhm.
in the sense of we seek comfort. And to allow something to be as it is rather than what we want it to be is uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And the greatest comfort that we can have in our egoic self is to go back to sleep. So I would say you're dead on with this. And yes, it will give you resilience. That's actually the next thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Resilience.
Yeah. And I'll have some thoughts to share once we dive into that. Thank you, Anissa. Ian.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is a tangent or whether it's something you may be planning to on getting to, but
We don't care. Do it anyway.
um, one of the things that I've experienced this week is starting to become aware of my buffers in a way that I hadn't done before. Um, and to relate to what Anissa was just talking about, I've been becoming aware. I've been starting to think about what am I afraid of, and the first one I come across was realizing that I'm deathly afraid of boredom. But the second one, which I only realized like a day or two ago, was the comfort thing. I really don't like to become uncomfortable. And I think that between the buffers and those fears, there must be something that relates to this whole idea of intentional suffering. But I'm still very early in my thinking about the whole thing.
Yeah, I can relate though. And every day I do movement practice. I I lift weights. I do all of this stuff, and it's intentional suffering because I don't want my muscles to be sore. I love being comfortable and nothing hurts and everything's good. And I know that if I want to accomplish my goal, I have to allow that to be part of my experience. It's like Anissa said, you have to become more resilient.
And I think we can start with smaller things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You know, people hear the word suffering and they're like, they think it has to be something crazy. But I mean, if you don't drink coffee in the morning, you know,
Oh,
there's
bite
some
your tongue.
suffering. It's the little things over time that build up. And that's the preparedness, I think.
Yes. I
Yeah,
keep
that's one of the secrets of Ramadan.
you start beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah, but you got a whole month of not drinking coffee in the morning, not doing all of these things that is habitual for you to do.
Well, it's normalized doing without, which means, under ideal conditions, nobody gets stuck in that loop of, oh, woe is me. I don't get breakfast today because I am depriving myself on purpose. And now I'm going to tell myself a story about, oh, how much of an ordeal this is, and I'm such a special soul for making this sacrifice. Like the drama ensues. Instead, it's kind of a normalized way of allowing yourself to build resilience. And I think it is a unique experience in that way because it's communal, and that does make it easier in many ways. So I think for those of us who did not grow up in a culture where we regularly do things like Lent or Ramadan, or even if we did, depending on how seriously we took it, we're not really used to consciously making a choice to go without and having like a resilient attitude about it. I mean, I'm speaking for myself here, you know? So no judgment if other people are feeling like, oh, I don't think I could go without hot showers for a whole month.
If you say that loud enough, God will hear you.
I mean,
And
it
and
would
in
not
his
be
great
great.
compassion, he will show you that you are strong enough to go for a whole month with nothing but cold showers.
And many people do. But my point is that we all have that thing that we are able to do without given the chance. To do it in a way that isn't coming from a place of lack, but actually from a place of abundance and growth and uh, practicing resilience. Raphael, I saw you unmuted briefly, I think. Did you have something you wanted to share?
Oh, I just had a bad connection, so now I have it locked in back in. But sorry for that.
No worries.
But yeah, Ian, I just wanted to tie back into what you were saying. Like, I think it's really awesome that you're able to see these things and kind of carry the thread of previous conversations we've had, and I'm sure introspection you're doing on your own. And thank you for sharing with us.
Well, that's one of the reasons I like to attend these talks is because I learn stuff. And even though I may only practice about 10% or less of it, that 10% I find really useful.
Excellent. Thanks. Hey.
So, Gurdjieff rarely talked about breath. And my sense was that he maybe did not learn as much about it as he could have when he was running around with the dervishes or the yogis. I don't know. By saying this, I'm sure we're going to get 100 different comments saying, you don't know what you're talking about. Gurdjieff
Mhm.
was a great whatever, whatever. And yeah, fine. But you don't have any more on that than the rest of us. So the one thing though that he talked about that is at least metaphorically true is he talked about digestion. He talked about the body needs food for its first digestion. I'm paraphrasing here. And for its second digestion, it needs impressions. And the digestive force of impressions is breath. So what does this mean? This is actually incredibly important. Okay, let's try an experiment. Sit upright. It'll help to close your eyes and sense your body, your whole body, from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet all at once. And now follow your breath. Inhale, exhale, quietly, steadily. As you inhale, imagine that you're drawing something into your body. something beyond just air. We don't even know what that something is, but it is a little bit finer. And as you exhale, you let it spread through your body. And while you're doing this, do not, for even a second, lose the sensation of your body. Now, just for fun, make your exhale just a little bit longer than your inhale. Stay with it. Make it long enough that it is slightly, just slightly uncomfortable. Not super uncomfortable, not to the point where you're going to get dizzy or pass out or anything, just slightly feeling that urge for an in-breath. So inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. Right now, as you do this, this is conscious suffering. This is intentional suffering. You are using your will to do something that is slightly uncomfortable. You are allowing that uncomfortable experience to be as it is, and you're doing the exercise anyway. Now, as you're doing this, make sure that you are still sensing your body, your head, your chest, your body together, your limbs, and find the sense of I within yourself. That which is witness to all of this. And then bring yourself back. And that is the heart of Gurdjieff's last message to his students that he left in his book. Simple, no? Easy. Fun. You could amuse your friends at parties with this.
Yes, James.
Well, it's not complex instruction, but maintaining the full range of attention isn't simple. Particularly with the eyes closed, it's easy to start drifting off.
Yeah. It's easy to
So
start drifting off with the eyes open.
that's true. Spent a whole lifetime doing that.
Yeah.
So
But one thing that helps with a practice like this is how simple it is and how you're in the driver's seat. No one is forcing anything on you. You are able to do the visualization yourself. You're able to gauge how long you want that inhale to be, the exhale. So this is a very easy way to start a practice that helps you build resilience in the face of just a little bit, tiny little bit of discomfort.
Yeah. And this is completely secular.
Yeah.
The nice thing about Gurdjieff, and one of the reasons that we keep reflecting back to him, is that you can do all of this without religion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, you'll find out that you religion snuck in when you weren't looking, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. And as Brian was saying, it's okay. You know, it should be easy. Let's put it that way. If you find that you're struggling too much, make it easier on yourself somehow while still getting just a taste of that ability to be present with the discomfort, no matter how minor it is. And you can expand from there. So don't feel like you've fallen short somehow. anyone who has been engaged with this work has been exactly in that position before.
Yeah.
Yes, James.
I think what I was trying to say before that yes, it's simple, but it's also subtle.
Hmm.
Yes.
This is a subtle one, yeah.
That's the trick. You could easily turn it into something else. You could easily turn it into some kind of pretend work or something.
This is true. Yes. Understandably, I had someone say, all this just to hear, like, watch your breath, pay attention to your breath. And I thought, it's because of that subtlety. It's because of the depth of it. That's why it is said, our way is founded in breath. There's so much to work on there.
And without that, nothing else works.
Yeah, so I understand that perspective. Humbly, I say press on.
Yes. And I say to you, if you are not breathing, you cannot do the work.
Yeah, and it's a perfect.
Osama got it.
Okay. Now I'm laughing because he's laughing.
I mean, it's true. That's a
Everyone's got to
fact.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not breathing, that's a good one, man.
Okay. I'm sorry that your camera's not working, Ian. He says having trouble with my camera, but just wanted to say that I found the idea that exercise when it was an example of intentional suffering to be extremely interesting,
Good.
but it made a whole lot of sense. Excellent. Um, Anissa says, is it that we do the contrary of being comfortable or is this, yeah, this is from earlier. Sorry about that. I'm glad we got to have you on camera for a bit. All right. Breath.
Breath.
Oh, yes.
So, Ouspensky's discovery gives the spark. Madame de Salzmann's practice sustains the flame. And the aim is to make the flame permanent so that the fire endures. And that is Gurdjieff's final message. Now, he wrote back in The Herald of the Coming Good, his very first book, which he pulled off the market after, I don't know, a few months. If a man desires sincerely and seriously to attain to real being, he must, from his very first step, aid indirectly the attainment of this by others. The work is not only for oneself, but it's for one's community, for the world. And if you're not doing that, the work is really hard. The work is not accomplished on top of the mountain. So does that make sense?
Makes
Mhm.
perfect sense. But damn it, I love sitting on top of mountains.
Yeah, mountains are groovy. Did you realize, James, that exactly a year ago, you and Noor and I and Alka were all sitting on top of a mountain together?
Yes. Yes.
And Cherie,
And Cherie, that's right. Cherie was there
yeah,
too.
Mhm.
such lovely memories.
Damn fine mountain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
about the
what an
food
excellent mountain. It's
all the
one of the
time.
better mountains I've ever sat on.
I'd happily go back to that mountain again.
Road
Really.
trip and all.
Yeah, well, it was an experience. Whole thing.
Yeah, good memories.
Humbling and inspiring. Perfect combination.
Challenging. And did it not teach us resilience? Talk about, you know.
Yeah, talk about working with intentional suffering.
Yeah.
This is the thing about the whole resilience. years ago I came to the conclusion that every day just going to a bit of an edge, just going just beyond your comfort zone without
Mhm.
being punitive was A, healthy, and B, reflected wisdom.
Yes.
I read a lot of enlightenment literature where it seems after you're enlightened, you're supposed to become this passive, contented thing. But I start to feel kind of the other way, that there's something must be something more dynamic in it, that how it reflects into your everyday life. Um, and So when I was listening to one of Adyashanti's talks, and he said that the whole point of enlightenment is to become this passive thing that's sort of nothing to do, nowhere to be. Do you have a couch I can sleep on? And he said, no, that's not it. There's something more dynamic in your approach to how life unfolds from there on in. If that's not happening, you're not quite there, or something's going wrong, or you've missed something.
I think that's
Yeah, if it's the couch and everything, you've joined the non-dual bros.
Well aware of them.
Yeah. So Raphael had a thought.
yes. I'll read his thought.
Yes, please.
Raphael says, there's body sensation I like to practice. Feeling from the feet, then my whole body, then my room, then the house, the city, and on and on. Somehow it humbles me. Although I feel like I ignore the breathing, or maybe it's really subtle. Wondering if anyone else attempts this.
Um, I learned to practice this very similar to that when I was learning to do tumo breathing, which is the breathing that keeps you warm even in really cold. And in part of the practice, you expand yourself out from your body to the whole universe and then contract yourself from the whole universe back into one tiny atom of your body. And it's very weird and it's lots of fun. But yeah, the breathing has to be part of it to get the full effect, I think.
I like that though. For
Yeah.
inspiration purposes, I think
Yeah.
that that sounds lovely.
Yeah, just be aware that now that you've told us this, we may try and get you to teach that exercise to everybody at some point.
Mm. James says, I have experimented with this and got lost in quotes in the expansion, not anchored to breath. So you found that breath serves you in that it helps you stay in the here and now and not just float off into imagery and fantasy and things of that nature, I guess.
I mean, that floating can be very pleasant, but it's definitely not increasing awareness. It's just changing the channel.
Yeah. And as I was saying the other day to someone, there's a time and a place for that. And when we were working on building this resilience that we're talking about, this awareness, sensation plus presence, it takes a different quality of purpose.
It, um,
Yes, Brian.
the idea of the fire and the heat crystallizing. You know, you could say that anytime that there's uncomfortable, like we're uncomfortable, you could just look at it as the friction that creates that heat to crystallize.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So it changes the point of view on the suffering.
Fascinating thought, Brian. And I'm glad you brought that in. I'm gonna chew on that. Anyway, I also want to be clear before I lose the thread, Raphael, that thank you for that contribution. I think there is certainly a place for that practice. And um Brian, I always think of there are many ways in which we can think about like the heat, right? You know, how do we stay motivated? How do we stay passionate? For some of us, it's the the drive to continue somehow, whether that's from love or irritation or coming to understand that those aren't necessarily two different things, and just feeling that fiery drive that keeps us going and keeps us working towards that eye, to use the metaphor we're speaking about tonight. I mean, the thing is, as Gurdjieff has also said, and as I have read from de Salzmann and stuff, whatever we're trying to reach is already present. It's just that we have all this stuff in the way of our being able to perceive that. Anissa says, yeah, she's describing, relating to what Raphael was saying. She says, I usually find myself doing that in the wild, where you start with your breath and then on to notice the birds and all the tiny animals and go on to the bigger image. Everything feels as if flowing in the same breath, same song, in a sense. Lovely. Osama refers to that fire, that passion, that irritation, that love, the drive, ishq.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think that covers it for this evening.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Tapas means both heat and wonderful Spanish food.
I mean, I was like, I have a feeling there's a play on words here, but all I could think of is delicious tapas. All right. Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for a really multi-layered conversation. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add or share that they've been thinking about that they haven't interjected yet? What about you, Alka?
Alka's been very quiet.
Was. Um, yeah, I've been listening and uh, it's amazing. Love it. Love the Gurdjieff triad um, and his great aim, the way you brought it together. Um, but in my personal experience, I don't think that once you're awake, you're comfortable going back to sleep ever.
This
I
is
mean, at least,
be true after a certain point. Yeah.
Mm.
yeah. And I think for me, just what what I started building and watching by self-observation is, like the faith. Um, you start building that. You start building the energy, the strength of will, courage, patience, selflessness, insight. So many new sensations and things start building. There's no way you can go back to that sleep. And And my all-time favorite thing out of this session today was a true meaning of intentional suffering. I never saw it so simple. To allow everything as it is, not resisting the wheel. Wow. It cannot be more simple than that. So thank you.
It really can't. And that's also what
Yeah.
truth is. Truth is that which cannot be simpler.
I think it should not be breath practice. It should be this.
Oh, without breath practice, there is no this, though.
Well, without breath, I got that joke. Like if you're not breathing. So yeah, but beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you, Elka. And thank you for an amazing experience last year, too. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned so much. I went there once more.
We're
So
jealous.
What time of the year was that, Olga?
September 7th, we were there.
But you went there again.
Oh,
Did you just
I went there. I was like, about 3 months ago, like June. It was very hot over here, so I decided to go there for 10 days.
Nice.
And I'm planning. Everybody asked me, what would you do after your mom, you don't have to take care of your mom. I said,
Yeah.
for 1 year, I'll go to that place.
Yeah.
Not talk to anybody for 1 year.
This was our amazing retreat last year on the edge of the Himalayas, for those who don't know, up in northern India.
Yeah.
So,
Ronnie.
Uttar Pradesh. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Valleys.
Okay.
Looking
Anybody
out
else
over
have?
the Himalayas. Yes. So
That's
there
all.
we have it.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for hanging in there with us, participating,
And thank you,
sharing your
Lisa, for coming back. We missed you.
thoughts. Yeah. Yeah. Great to have our companions together again. All right. So,
Also, the same thing for Raphael. It's good to have you back here too.
right? Yes. I hope yeah, stick around if you like, both of you.
Yeah.
We'll chat a little bit afterwards.
All right. So,
Oh, wait. Please chime in, Raphael, if you'd like to share.
Oh no, so thank you for having me back, and really nice to see you and hear from you guys.
Yay. Okay, Brady Bunch mode.
we are in Brady Bunch mode.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's see. I want to double check about next week. Okay, yeah. We are good. All right.
We are
Thank you.
better than good.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. Thank you everyone so much for being here. Thank you, thank you. It's so good to spend this quality time together, do a little learning and kvetching and all of the things that we do week to week. Love you guys. And to everyone watching on the replay, thanks for being here and hanging out with us. And we'll catch you next week. We can wager each other, wager everyone watching.
Bye, folks.
Bye.